All right, everybody. So this will be our fifth. I think this is the fifth part of multiplayer. And what we're going to be doing today, so far, just kind of catch everything up, we have managed to make a thing that will hurt us. We can see that with a print string up there. Then we can heal ourselves. You can see that with the little pickups that we've got there. And we've set it so that we can't go over 100%. That 1 is what that's meaning. And next thing we need to do is just start altering the HUD. So that's what we're going to be doing now. Now, some of the games that are out there don't use the health bar. So I thought one of the first things I'd focus on would be score. It seems like everybody has a score in mind. They're showing up some different kind of score types, whether that's kills, you've picked something up, you've managed to progress further in the level. Number of different things could be picked up by the score. So health tends to be just about, taking damage and things like that. And I will definitely do one on that one next. But to start off with, I wanted to start adjusting the score. So let's make something real quick that we can play with our score a little bit. So I'm going to go up here to the blueprint class. I'm going to make an actor. I'm going to call this coin. And I'm going to double click on that. And very quickly, I'm just going to make something that looks like a coin. I really should have had the polygon prototype stuff in here because that would make things easier. But let's just let's see what kind of spheres we have. Do we have like a circle, maybe? Circle? No, not really. Yeah. Let's see. Level prototype starter content. Let's just see what we got in here and see if there's something that'll just kind of work for us. Shapes. Okay. Yeah, that looks decent. Oh, we can just take a cylinder and squish it down, right? Okay. So let's just do that. I'm gonna drag a cylinder in, and I want to squish it down here. Let's just shrink it down to be nice and small. We'll spin it over on its side. Okay, looks good. Pretty large coin, but I think that's fine. And then we'll throw on a collider. I'll do a sphere collider because I think that makes things a little more cohesive. That does look pretty large, so what I'll do is take that sphere outside of the shape so it doesn't affect the other pieces here, and I'm just gonna shrink this thing down. Whoop, too far. All right, let me go ahead. This might be a little more tricky than I had originally thought. There we go. Okay, that looks pretty good. Not bad, not completely circular, but we're getting there. All right, next thing I want to do is I want to add some rotating movement so that we have some action to draw the attention over. And next thing I want to do is I need to have this up off of the scene root. So I'm just going to move this up just a hair. There we go. So now it won't be in the ground whenever we put it in. Next thing I want to do is change the material. I want to get something that looks like a coin, something kind of gold colored. Lit on both sides. Yeah, that could work. It's kind of gold. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, there's a coin. So inside of this, what we're going to do is we need to have it use a new blueprint. We're going to have a new blueprint interface that we're going to use just for points. Okay, so to do that, we're going to need to make that blueprint interface. So let's go back to our content drawer. Let's go back to all. I'm going to put this under my user made stuff. So let's do that here. I'm going to do another blueprint interface. There we go. BPI underscore points. Okay. And in this one, I do have a function. I'm going to call it points. And then I'll have an output called adjust points. because we're going to be either awarding or taking away points. So in this case, points are all going to be based on an integer, so we can just do that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and save everything. So now we have a points-based setup. We can apply it to our player. We can also apply it to this coin right here. And so let's go ahead and do that. I could, just to kind of, well, that's fine. We've already got the sphere collider in there. We'll just go with that. What we're going to do is first add in the blueprint interface. So we'll go up here to class settings. We're going to go over to the interface. Here we go. And we're going to add in BPI points. There we go. And if we go over here to our interface, now we see points here. I'm just going to compile that. And as far as points go, it just needs to know what do you want to adjust. So I think easier than having to go into that every time, let's just make a variable. Let's call it, we just go with adjust points, or we can go reward points. Okay. And that one needs to be an integer as well. Let's say for every coin, you end up with 10 points. So I'll just drag this in, get the rewards. We're going to hook that up to the adjustment point. So anytime you pick up a coin, it's going to check to see, is this thing we're interacting with using the points interface? And then it will check to see what adjust points are going to be, and then we'll reward those points. So let's go ahead and pop up our third person character 2. Let's see, here we go. Into the blueprint. Here's our BP third person character. Let's go ahead and zoom out here a little bit. There's a capsule component that's looking to see if somebody's using the adjust health. So let's add in another interface here. We have interact and we also have health. Let's also add in points. Oops, BPI points right there. Okay, let's check. Now we have all these. Good deal. And let's see, as soon as we're overlapping with something, let's take care of we have that over here on our character now, which is good. So we can say the coin, I'm going to go to the event graph for the coin. The coin can now say, oh yeah, the other thing, that third person character, that has BPI points on it, so we can apply points to it. And so first thing, I'm just going to get rid of these, and we're more looking at the sphere collider. And I want to do begin overlap on that. And I mean, we don't have to necessarily go this crazy here, but we're going to go ahead and do it. We could have just probably gone with event begin overlap, like anything that touches it. But in this case, I went ahead and put the collision in, so let's use it. The other actor, we're going to pull off of that, and we're going to do does implement interface. This one's going to be points. There we go. And we're going to run a branch off of this because we just need to see if it does use that interface and we want to do something. If it doesn't, then we'll just leave it alone. Okay. So as soon as this runs, we're going to destroy the actor, which may sound a little strange, but we want it to go away as soon as we touch the coin, like we picked it up. Okay, so the other thing, as far as the points go, we have that right here. Now we're adjusting these based on reward points. If we wanted to, we could also just add in random integer value between let's see, random integer and range, and then we could say be anywhere from 5 to 10 points if we wanted to, just to kind of give you an idea of how this might change things up if you're wanting that for your game. But for now, we'll just say this adds on 10 points every time. All right, and essentially for our coin, that's about it. Okay, let's just go ahead and drop it into the scene, and let's see what it looks like. Make sure everything's working the way we want it to. All right, and what we should see, I'm just going to drag this out a few times so we have a few to pick up. Now at this point, we really haven't included it into the HUD yet, so we just want to make sure that it's destroying the actor as we come across it and it's not giving us any errors. So, yep, looks like we're able to pick all these up. no issues. Okay, let's go ahead and make this thing work. So it's updating our HUD. All right, now one thing I want to start doing is working with these as if we could also implement multiplayer and network. So if we had it online, one thing we would start using is a player state. So I'm going to show you different ways to affect the HUD. This first one's just a little bit different, just so you can kind of get the hang of it. This one's going to affect something that you use in multiplayer networking, any kind of online game. And the player state just checks to see like where is this currently? Do I need to reflect it on the client or on the server? Things like that we don't necessarily need to get into for local multiplayer, but to open up the possibility later on, you need to plan for it now. So let me go ahead and just show you what that's going to look like. We're going to make a player state. Okay, and want to do this in the couch co-op space. We're going to go right click. And we're going to go for a player state. So if we want to do that, we can open up this big one right here. And we just type in player state. There's our player state right there. Okay. Hit select. And for this one, we do PS_CC. That's going to be player state couch co-op. Go ahead and open that up. Don't need to do anything in the viewport. We're fine there. As far as the event graph, we're not really going to be doing anything there either. We're going to be mostly using functions for a lot of these. Functions are used quite a bit with online multiplayer, and this is no exception. So we're going to go up here to function. We're going to hit plus, and we're going to do award points. There we go. And on award points, this is going to be used for everything, kind of like what we saw when we were working with the health. We had it run into, well, let me just kind of build it for you so you know what we're talking about here. For award points, one thing we're going to need to do is add the input for the type of points that are going to be coming in. Let's go ahead and just call it points, and that's going to need to be an integer. Okay, that looks good. Go ahead and compile it. And what this is going to do is it's going to take the points that are coming in. We're going to add that together with the points that are already part of the player state. So like each player will have a player state, okay? And this is going to maintain that point value for the player, okay? So one thing we'll need to do as well is add in the variables right here. We're going to make one called points to hold on to all the points for this particular player. Make that an integer. I've got points twice, so I really don't like that. So let's say we want to change this to maybe point adjustment. Points awarded. How about that? That sounds good. Because you could also do a negative points awarded if you needed to take some away. All right, so from here, we're going to add these together because this is whatever's going to be flowing in from whatever you touched. So in this case, it's going to be the coins. So we're going to run that in there. Then we're going to set our points, our point variable. Okay, that goes in there. That goes right there. Points is initially going to start off at 0. So, I mean, there's nothing to really change there. As long as you compile it and you see it says 0, that's where we want it to start off whenever we're playing the game initially. And then what we're going to do is we're going to call another function. We're actually going to use an event dispatcher with this one. This may seem a little bit weird for what we're doing because, you know, you haven't used them except to deal with other actors. But in this case, we're actually going to use it to call in something in the interface, or I'm sorry, in the HUD. So let me go ahead and set that up. Our event dispatcher, let's call it when points updated. Okay, so this is going to say, hey, when points are updated, we need you to update it in the HUD as well. So we're going to go ahead and drag that out. We're going to do a call. I'm probably going to add a couple other things to this because we probably want to send some more information. Let's see. A couple things we probably want to send would be total points. So that'll be the current number of points right here, and then the point adjustment. We might want to show that. It's possible. So what we'll want to do is go into the event dispatcher over here, and we're going to add a couple of inputs. So let's say the first one is total points. Oops, there we go. Compile that. Yep, it doesn't like that name. Let's do that instead. Oh, and refresh that node. And so that'll be these points right here going into that. One more thing we want to add in. We want to add in the points that have changed, like the points that were awarded. So we could call it new points awarded. It's kind of a long name, but yeah, it should work just fine. Let me refresh that. And this number right here, I'm sorry, no, this is the new points that are coming in. So we'll put that right there. And as far as the player state, that's pretty much it as far as award points. If we wanted to make more functions that cleared the points or reset the points for something else, that might be helpful. But for right now, this should be able to take care of us adding or taking away depending on the kind of point value we're getting from the actor. All right, so let's go ahead. Since this is our new player state, one thing we need to do is go back to our game mode. Let's go in here to our world settings, and we have our game mode right here. Select game mode, and then we have game state, player state right here, and we're going to pick that PSCC. That's the one we just made. Go ahead and save everything. Everything's looking pretty good so far. All right, so the next thing we probably want to do is take a look how this is going to be handled on our player. All right, so our player, whenever it interacts with something, what we want to do, and we're going to have to add on a little bit more here. So it's going to be coming off of this, okay? We're going to be using this same connection right here. Off the false, what we're going to do is does it implement pull off here. That'd probably be better. Does implement interface. And in this case, it's going to be the points one. It's right there. Okay. And we're going to have another branch. And if it fails, we want it to come down here and check and see if it does any points. If it doesn't do health, let's see if it does points. Now, even if it does do health, we probably want to have it check and see if it will take away points, or if maybe it's something that will add points, possibly if it's like a health pickup and it adds points. We still want it to come down here and see, should we implement this, or does it implement it and does it change anything? So after that, we're going to go over to adding in the points. We've got the points right here. And we probably go ahead and bring that in. Now remember, whenever you want to send this message off, whenever you want to say like, hey, you know, we're getting some points adjusted here, then we want to use the message for it. So if we drag this in right here, it's not going to give us what we want. What we were looking for has a little envelope up here. So what we want to do is we're going to drag off this true. So if it's using that, we want to say true. And then we're going to get points. Let's see, it is BPI points, but that's not quite giving me what I want. I want the message points. No, let's do that. Points message. There we go. See, that's a little bit different, but it makes a big deal because this one right here is trying to affect something on that particular character. And that's us, actually. It's saying like, hey, the target is BP third person character. That's us. We're not trying to affect ourselves. We're trying to actually send something through the interface, which is right here. We need to make sure that we do pull that information from the other actor into this, because we want to do the adjustment, the point adjustment right here. I'll go ahead and get rid of that. We don't need that anymore. And from here, we want to do the player state setup. So we should have a player state reference here. We don't, but that's okay. We're going to get one real quick because we probably should make it as soon as we make the game. So let me see here. We'll have to cast. So we'll need to do that right at the beginning, as soon as the game starts. So right here, yeah, this is where we're setting a bunch of stuff up initially, like colors and the name and all that kind of stuff. So in fact, I've got the old version right there. You can actually just get the controller ID for that. Anyway, let me go back over here. And from here, what we want to do is recast to ps_cc. That's our player controller. We will have to get a little bit of information off the object right here. We're going to go ahead and do this a little backwards. We're going to do player state. Okay, get player state. I don't think that'll necessarily work for us because we're also going to need the controller. There's multiple player states. So, yeah, let's do this in the other direction. Get controller. Okay. There's our controller. And then from here, we want to get the player state. There's different player states for each player. So that's why we want to use our controller first to tell us which one we're going to be attaching to. There we go. And then we want to promote this to player state. I'm just going to change that. Let's see. Nope. I like saying it's a reference, so I'm going to do player state ref. There we go. Okay, so once this pops in, now we're going to have that player state reference so we can cite that later on when we want to use it. We don't have to keep casting for it or anything like that. Now what we're going to do is, based on the player state, we can award points. Okay, so we have a reference for that. Let me go ahead and find, it's back up here. There we go. So we have our points right here, and then from this, we're going to award points based on our player state. Let's see, we go ahead and drag off of here. We should be able to do award points. Oh, I spelled award wrong. That's why. Okay. Is this the one we want? Yep, everything looks good there. We're going to tie our adjust points into here, and our target is our player state. So I'm just going to get player state. Remember, this is something that's particular to a player itself. So that's why we want to get that player state ref. We want to make sure that this is updating the right player. Okay. So that should, I believe that should take care of our player as far as everything it needs to do. Then let's take a look at our player card. And that'll be the end of what we have to do as far as adjusting things for the points. So let me go ahead and compile that, make sure we don't see any issues. Everything looks good. All right, I want to go into the content drawer, and I need to go into the player card. Okay, so let's go to the graph for the player card. And right now, the way this is working is this bit of code right here is really what's assigning the controller, giving us everything that we need for our character, and also making the widget change. So this would be a good spot for us to try and update what we're trying to do. Okay, so just after we do the pawn changed, we're also going to need to make sure we can, this thing knows what where the player state is too. So we're going to drag off of this. We're going to do cast to ps_cc. There we go. And just the same thing again that we did with the other one. We got to work a little bit backwards. So we're going to get our assigned controller. We already got that. Back over here. Oh, yeah, right here. We got our assigned controller from this. So we're just going to use that reference again. And we're going to get the player state from that. Okay. Player state. Get player state. There we go. And then we're going to tie that into the object right there. That'll make sure that it's getting the right point values for the correct player. Now that we have that, we want to go ahead and turn that into a reference. So I'm going to do player state ref. There we go. And from here, we're going to work with that event dispatcher that we had with our player state right here. When points updated, this is our player state. Here's this, and we're just using an event dispatcher to tell it what we're doing. So we're going to now an event dispatcher is not like a cast or anything like that. So as long as you know who you're going to be talking to, in this case, we're going directly to a specific player state that's going to be set up for our player. So that's why this event dispatcher works for us, since we know it needs to go to one place. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll do a bind at this point. And we're just going to pull off of this pin right here so we can get that bind. Do bind event to point damage. No. Let's see. What did I call that? Let's see here. Points. When points updated. I was way off. Okay. Let's do when points updated. Okay. Bind event to when points updated. There we go. Now this is going to be a little bit different in this respect, because usually when we pull off of this, we do custom event, right? Well, in this case, we need to create an event, okay? Because this is in a different place. This is in a different space for us. If we do a custom event, that it may hit several times. In this case, this is creating all of this whenever this event construct happens. So that's why we want to have this create event instead of just a custom event that might get hit over and over again. This one actually is making something for us. So at this point, we have to select a function. In this case, we're going to create a matching event. Okay, and then it makes a custom event down here. Okay, and we'll just call this on. Let me go ahead and get my cursor in the right spot. Work with me here. Okay, let's hit escape. New pattern. Okay, I'm trying to. Okay, well, let me try some real quick here. Bear with me. All right, everything looks good there. All right. But for some reason, this is, okay. I guess it was just hung for a second there. Not a big deal. Everything's fine. What I want to do is off the custom event, I want to set the text. So we're going to, because keep in mind on this designer right here, if we look at it, let me see if I can get this here. If I take those out, well, I'd have to put them on top. But the text score right here, this is what we're going to adjust. Oh, there we go. Yeah. And so to do this, we're going to go back into the graph. I'm going to grab a reference. Well, actually, I don't have to do that. We can just pull off total points right here. Okay. And we're going to do toText integer. There we go. Let's go ahead and drop that down. And a couple things about this. So always sign, we don't necessarily have to have that. That's going to make sure that it stays a certain sign all the time. It's usually positive. Use grouping. Yeah, we do want to have that on. That's going to make sure everything stays together and looks like a normal set of numbers like we usually see. Minimum integral digits. This one, what this is going to do is whatever the minimum amount of numbers that are going to be on the screen. So if I go back to the designer, let's say I really want to keep those zeros in there, right? So if I go back to this right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm just going to make it 6 total. And then I want to go back to my graph, and over here, I want to set this to 6 as well. Okay, so I'll make sure that those leading zeros stay on there. So it'll slowly increase until we get up to a point where we're maybe even exceeding those zeros. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab the text score, which should be right here. Okay, and we're going to set that text score. So we're going to drag in, actually we could probably just do it from here. So set text, there we go. Yep, that works for us. Return value is going to go into in text. There's execution pins lined up there. And then, I mean, really, that should be about it. I don't think we really have to have anything else. Let's just see if this is going to work. I'm going to go ahead and hit save. So a couple different things. Let's just kind of go over all the different pieces that we had working together to make this work. The BP third person character is checking to see, does it implement the interface? And then it goes to award the points for itself. So it only goes to that player. We use the coin to decide how many points are going to be afforded to it. BPI points is ferrying that information along from the coin to the third person character. Third person character is calling the player state, which is keeping track of all of this for them. And then from there, the player state is updating, it's doing this event dispatch over to the to this custom event right here, which we need to change. That's just a horrible name for that. I want to see if I can change that real quick. Don't like that. Let's just do update points. Okay, and then that should have updated over here. Update points. Yeah, good. Everything looks good. All right, let's see if it works. Hit play. Okay, right now I have 0. Hey, I picked up 10, picked up 20. Cool. All right, now let's see if the big money works. I'm going to turn on my other controller. Wait for it to open up here in just a second. Oh, actually got out of that. Okay, let me go ahead and I'm going to have my main first person character pick up a couple. There's 20. Okay, then I'm going to hit start on my other player character. And they're picking up points too. All right, good deal. Okay, so we have multiple characters with their own score. We have the beginnings of health working. I'm going to show you 2 different ways to handle health in a future video. And this should get you started on interacting with your HUD and updating at least the text. And if you can kind of discern where you might go with the health, you can probably figure that out right now too. All right. And that ought to do it, y'all. Hopefully this helps you get a little bit further along.